Now we go to another, I would say, department of WageIndicator. That department is the collective agreement database group. In short, it's the COBRA group. The COBRA group works worldwide, but have a lot of attention in Europe from a set of projects. And I can tell you that if somebody is the darling in our team, then it's COBRA. COBRA is loved the most by funders. They all think that this is the future. Sometimes you can't believe it, that a huge pile of collective agreements is a darling, but Janna and Gabriele will show you how you can be a darling. Yes. Exciting. So welcome both.
Yes, thank you, Pauline. I can share my screen if it's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you see it?
Yeah. And we lost, by the way, we lost some minutes, so they don't take too many minutes.
Yeah, it will be quite short. So,
okay, great.
In the short presentation, I will give an overview of the WageIndicator collective agreements database. I will present the state of the art of it, also thanks to some actual numbers. I will explain how the collective agreements database works and basically what we do. So the database was established back in 2012 and is currently hosting more than 1,700 CBAs from 67 countries all over the world. So the agreements are collected and annotated according to a coordinate scheme with around 800 variables, and then are published in the WageIndicator national websites, all in national languages. The agreements are annotated according to 11 macro topics and sub-questions, related sub-questions. One key element of the database is, of course, its team, which is composed by skilled multilingual professionals. Currently, 10 people are involved within annotators and researchers. And I've calculated that 13 languages are spoken at mother tongue level, which is quite impressive. But of course, each member of the team is capable of managing multiple languages. What is the process of annotation about? So we get the collective agreement in different formats. It can be JPEG, PDF, scan documents. Most of the times we get CBAs either from social partners like trade unions or employee organization, or from the national registries, national archives. We use an optical character recognition software in order to transform the format into a Word document. And then we use an HTML editor in order to produce actually the final version, the final format that will be uploaded on the system called COBRA, where the actual annotation takes place. And then the questions are answered and clauses are selected about the following 11 main topics, which are social security and pensions, training and apprenticeship, individual employment contracts, job security, sickness and disability, work-life balances arrangements, health and medical assistance, equality and or violence in the workplace, working hours, schedules, holidays, days of leave, of course, wages, which is a very important part of our questionnaire, workers' representation and conflicts, which is a new, actually, main topic recently introduced, and also the new technologies and green clauses. So here in these slides, you can see the previously mentioned COBRA system where the annotation takes place. So the annotators are supposed to answer the questions, answer the questions, and at the same time select the relevant part of the text. What CBAs look like online. So after the annotation has taken place in COBRA, we publish the CBAs also, as previously mentioned, in WageIndicator national websites. So we publish the text, the full text, but also, as you can see at the right side of the slide, we publish the work, the analysis made by the annotators. At the Wage Indicator national website is also possible to use a comparison tool in order to compare the CBAs. So here we can see that it's possible to compare the CBAs, selecting one or more topics or questions, one or more countries, and is also possible to filter by the industry, by the sector. As I previously mentioned, we use a coding scheme of 800 variables, and the coding scheme is actually in continuous evolution according to the findings coming from the CBA's analysis, the annotators and researchers' inputs and insights, and of course also according to the projects, because we always have an eye on potential projects, and also according to the topics emerging in the public debate. For example, what we did recently for the BarCovid project is to improve the coding scheme with new questions regarding wages, regarding health and safety clauses, and also questions about the new technologies at work, so that we could compare the previously signed before COVID agreements, and then how somehow how the social partner reacted to the new challenges. So now I would like to give the floor to Janna for the second part of the presentation, which we focus more on the challenges, the future, the projects, the past ones, or the one ongoing, and of course the one in the pipeline. So welcome, Janna.
Thank you very much, Gabriele, and thank you for the wonderful introduction to the database. I just want to take a very quick 2 to 3 minutes of your time to talk you through basically what it is we're doing now with the database to improve it. And so my name is Janna. Some of you know me. I don't know everybody yet. I work at the University of Utrecht, and currently I do a lot with collective bargaining agreements. And that means that I'm involved with a lot of projects that we have on this database. And so I just wanted to take you through some things very quickly. And the first thing is to just realize that this really is a database that was developed under a first kind of like wave of fantastic projects that really allowed us to fill that database. That includes a number of living wage and decent wage projects, BarCom and COBAR projects. Those projects basically span the globe. So it's really something that is built across the world. And those past projects were projects in which we learned how to identify and find and collect collective agreements, how to code them, what people are interested in. And we currently have about 4 projects that we're working on to develop the CBA database further. So Gabriele just already mentioned BarCovid, which looks into the effects of COVID on bargaining, as well as trying to build a time series so that we don't just know what's in a collective agreement, but also if we see a collective agreement that we know what is in this one, but also what was in the previous agreement, which helps us build a so-called time series. So we can see if collective agreements, for example, improve over time. We are working on the Eurofound CBA database, which is a project for the European Foundation for Living and Working Conditions, where we are really focusing on trying to measure wage floors, so minimum wages in collective agreements, and sampling. In the SHOCK project, which Dani has done a lot of work on, we try to exploit machine reading and natural language processing techniques. And in the decent work and living wage projects in the garment sector in Indonesia and garment and flower sectors in Ethiopia, which you just heard a fantastic presentation about, we're also looking at those collective agreements. We've heard a few months back that we have 2 more projects about to start, Bar Metal, which will look into the metal sector, and BarWage, in which we will start developing coding schemes for base skills. There are a couple of challenges that we're trying to address in those projects. And the first thing is how to sample collective bargaining agreements. So basically what we have now is a database in which we put the collective agreements that we found. And that means that we can say, for example, okay, I have this collective agreement, and in this collective agreement, I see that you have a right to maternity leave and to this level of pay. What we really would like to be able to say is, for example, collective agreements in Estonia, on average, have agreed on this minimum level of pay. And for that, we need to develop a probability sample. And that is something we'll be developing in the Eurofound project, but also the BarCoven and BarWage projects. The second challenge is how to measure wages or pay scales agreed, which on the one hand is really the bread and butter of collective bargaining, right? It's the first thing you think about when you talk about collective bargaining. On the other hand, unfortunately, everybody does that in their same way, in their different way. And so that makes it very difficult to compare those pay data. And that is something we're going to be working on in the BarCoven and BarWage projects. And the last thing is, as Gabriele can tell you as well, coding agreements just takes a lot of time. And so Dani has been working on natural language processing techniques to try and see if we can speed that up. And she's built an interactive tool for the SHOCK project, which we really like to try and integrate into the database. So now say that all of that works. What we would like to do is we would like to build a WageIndicator CBA database with a representative sample so that it can become the reference for analysis of collective bargaining agreements. This is a big deal, especially because there is no other cross-country database that does this job. And so it potentially brings us a lot of potential new projects as well. We'd really like to invest a little bit more in CBAs from outside the European Union. As I said, integrate the interactive tool for natural language processing. And so what we'd really like towards the end is to publish the CBA database on the one hand as full text and a web tool for stakeholders so that everybody can find their collective agreements, whoever you are, whether you're a trade unionist or a worker, just if you're interested. Secondly, to have a coded database of a representative sample that we can do research on. And then thirdly, to still have the full text, but for research as a corpus of collective bargaining agreement texts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janna, Gabriele, Armanda's there too. You should know that this COBRA team or the collective agreement team is coming together every Wednesday at 10 o'clock Amsterdam time to talk, and that pays off. The knowledge about collective agreements has never been as huge as it is now, thanks to this team. It's a pretty cool team with 15 languages, was it? Or even more. So it's quite unique.
13 at mother tongue level, but of course there are more because everyone is able to speak more language. So 3, 4, yeah.
So it's not easy, and you do a great job. So thanks a million for that.